Hey, this is Mike Hambright. Welcome back to the Flip Nerd VIP show. Today I have with me Mark Bloom, who's a president of NetWorth Realty and a fairly high volume real estate investor himself and helps facilitate a lot of other real estate investors. Before I introduce Mark, let's take a moment to recognize our featured sponsors. RealtyMogul.com is an online marketplace for real estate investing, connecting borrowers and capital from accredited and institutional investors. Get a rehab loan fast and close in as little as 10 days. Rates start as low as 9%. We'd also like to thank National Real Estate Insurance Group, the nation's leading provider of insurance to the residential real estate investor market. From individual properties to large-scale investors, National Real Estate Insurance Group is ready to serve you. Please note, the views and opinions expressed by the individuals in this program do not necessarily reflect those of FlipNerd.com or any of its partners, advertisers, or affiliates. Please consult professionals before making any investment or tax decisions, as real estate investing can be risky. Hey, Mark, welcome to the show.
Mike, thanks for having me.
Yeah, how are you doing?
Doing good. How are you doing?
Good.
Everything.
Yeah, hard to believe that I remember just a few weeks ago thinking, I can't believe the holidays are here. And I caught myself a couple days ago. This is what we're pushing January 14th now. And I said, happy holidays to somebody. And they looked at me like, the holidays are over. I was like, yeah, I couldn't believe it. So
at what point do you stop saying Happy New Year to people? I'm vexed about that.
I don't know. Actually, it's been the last couple of years where I've caught myself. I don't know when to say a girl. Like, I know this girl. It's like, well, most of the girls that I know are women now. So I don't know where the line is.
I think they'll take the girl. I think they'll take it at that point.
Yeah, that's right. So, well, hey, welcome to the show. I know you because we operate the same market here, and just wanted to see if you could introduce yourself a little bit and talk about what it is you do today, and then maybe we'll go back a little bit further and talk about how you got started.
Sure. So my name is Mark Bloom. I started out generally education-wise. I'm an attorney. I have a master's in finance specializing in investments, none of which you really need to do kind of what we do on a daily basis,
Right.
All of which I guess comes in handy at one point or another. And what we do is we strictly facilitate transactions for investors. And I shouldn't even say that. We source product and help investors through their transactions. So we're actually in an arm's length transaction with a investor buyer who wants to purchase a property. They're usually either going to buy it, fix it, and rent it, buy it, fix it, and sell it, or buy it, fix it, and owner finance it. Mm-hmm. And what we've done is we've gone out, we found this property, we offer it up for sale at a fixed price. There's no highest and best. There's no bidding. We do an analysis on that property in terms of value. We provide backup for that. We do an analysis on that property in terms of rehab. We provide backup from independent third parties on that. And then we try and help that buyer, investor go through that transaction as they, navigate their way through the bumps and bruises that can be a buy, fix, and exit strategy on a property.
Right. Awesome. And I guess what are your primary sources you focus on? I know is all of what you buy off the MLS, or a good portion of it is?
No, I would say probably at this point it's going to be right around 50-50, 60-40.
Okay.
Maybe at this point 60% coming from non-MLS, 40% coming from MLS.
Yeah.
There was a point where I would say an overwhelming majority of our inventory was coming from the MLS, but I think that was also a point when there was just so much foreclosure inventory out there that there was, you couldn't not look at it.
Yeah. And as you know, in this business, you gotta continually ebb and flow wherever you can get deals. You got to go.
Well, especially right now, margins are tight. Inventory's tight, and so that makes it difficult for some people who either can't get efficiency or aren't willing to flex to the new business environment that's out there.
Yeah. So how long have you been investing in you invest in real estate yourself as well, right?
Of course. Yes, definitely. I mean, I fully believe and practice what I preach. I've been in investment real estate of one shape, form, or another probably for the last 15 years, give or take.
Okay. Do you remember your first house you bought?
First house I bought, it's funny that you say that. I was talking with my wife about it. I was trying to figure out which one was the very first one. And yes, I think I do remember which one the first house was. It was this little 3-1 in my first few houses were in Florida that we did. And it had a big 2-car garage that we turned into an in-laws quarters. And, there's always bumps along the road. I'll give you, I know people like to hear the stories, and
Yeah.
he always loves to hear the roughest story. So I have a pretty good, worst. It wasn't quite my first property, but it's probably within the first half a dozen. So I was in South Florida. My parents and my family was in Central Florida, and myself, my father, and a guy that I went to high school with, he was doing the rehab, and we were handling acquisitions and the remainder of it. Long and short, I wasn't there. I gave them an address. They drive down the street. Now, this was 15 years ago when GPS was just getting going.
Right.
So GPS bings, you're at the location. Well, back then you weren't necessarily right at the location.
Right.
It's kind of in the general vicinity. So they're driving down the street and they see a house that fits exactly what I told them. Same colors, looks like a deferred maintenance house, overgrown grass, milky screens.
Right.
I tell them the back door is open. They go around back. The back door is open. It's vacant. It's beat up. The rehab matches about what we had been given as an estimate. Great. We contract the property. We close on the property. We go in, and as a lot of investors do, we start before the power's on. We start with a generator. So we get it in. We get in there. We start doing the demo, and we've got pretty good crews. The crew at this time was Vietnamese, very big language barrier. And my sister is trying to turn on the power and the water. And this is maybe, we're going on a week into the project, and we're having some issues getting the power on. Finally, she gets to the bottom of it, calls me, and it's like, listen, man, the address that the guy at the property that's rehabbing it has given me is different than the address that I'm showing on the HUD. And I'm calling the city, and it's not matching up. So I get on the phone with my partner. Hey, go out to the property and tell me what the hell is going on. I'm thinking, a screw fell out of the 6 and it's a 9, or vice versa, whatever.
Right.
So he gets there and he tells me, man, we're rehabbing the house 2 doors down, basically was it.
Wow.
So we had done the demo and started to put the house back together. We made every attempt to try and contact the owner. We could not reach the owner. They were an out-of-state owner. I mean, we really tried to reach the owner. We took the house that we hadn't touched. It was a little more work than we had been told. Plus, we had already just put into this other house. It was a good market, so luckily we were able to flip out of it, sell it to another investor. And so, we lost a little bit of money. But, I mean, listen, if you can get over that kind of a mistake and have a successful career in real estate, then I don't know what any other investor out there is going to encounter that's going to be much worse than that.
Yeah, and it's funny. I literally, just before we started this, I was responding to an email from one of the guys that I coach, and he said, this has never happened to me before. What do I do here? And it's always something that's never happened to me either. I mean, it happens all the time. And I mean, there's never a dull moment in this business. And I think the key is obviously just to keep pushing through and, take bumps when you need to and just keep moving on. So
I'm a big analogy fan, and it's kind of like a bicycle, man. I mean, listen, if you put it away the first time you fell off of it, well, you're never going to learn to ride that bicycle. So
that's right.
You got to get back on it, and you learn from your mistakes. Hopefully they don't kill you, and what doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger.
That's right. That's right. Well, tell us a little bit about the background. I guess how you start when you went from first investing there in Florida to starting NetWorth Realty and kind of getting up to just getting that started. Let's talk about that.
Sure. So I came out to Texas from Florida in 2006, kind of saw the writing on the wall of what was going on in Florida. I don't think I was seasoned enough at the point to realize that what I saw happening in my local and regional market was also happening across the nation. So long and short, I saw what I thought was the problem with our market, and I looked for a market somewhere in the country that had different characteristics, factors to that market. Dallas and Houston always struck me for numbers and specifics. We had already had an office in Houston for the company that we were working for at the time, which was called RealNet. I came out to Dallas to work the office for RealNet as a broker. They ran into some major trouble in late 07, beginning of 08, with their hard money lender out of Florida. Obviously, with what was going on over there with values, you can see where that would happen.
Yeah.
Myself and the gentleman in Houston decided that we wanted to kind of buy out from the existing structure, took the offices, changed the names, was tweaking what we liked and didn't like, removing the things we didn't like, changing the things to be more customer friendly, service oriented, on point. Got that up and running. We were Dallas and Houston. As we were opening San Antonio, I had kind of as you know, we talked about a little bit.
Yeah.
I had kind of a mutiny within my office. Some really good friends of mine that wanted to show me their appreciation. So out of the middle of nowhere, kind of blindsided, no warning whatsoever, went from having a full and effective office in Dallas to having kind of at best a skeleton crew with a very large overhead. Mm-hmm. And that was, I want to say it was July or August of 2008. And I mean, we all know what happened in October of 2008.
Yeah.
So 2008 was a very, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right?
Yeah.
So that was a growing year for us tremendously. We got San Antonio up and running. And from there, we've kind of spread out. We're now about to open up our 9th office in Denver. And that should be open within the first quarter of 2014. Hard to believe it's 2014,
yeah,
but it is. And that's where we're at. I mean, it's the story of any business, I think, which is you wake up every day and you bust your tail. You put one foot in front of the other, hopefully a couple more feet than the guy next to you walked that day. And, 5, 6, 8 years back, you look down and you've come a long way. So we really just strive to deliver a good product and a good level of service and try and treat our investors, our clients, our customers with a level of respect that they deserve and that they need to be successful investors. And hopefully it all works out.
Yeah. From a kind of fellow wholesaler, a lot of people don't really realize how hard it is to source houses and how hard it is to find houses, and they're kind of caught up in the mentality of, well, you bought it for that and you sold it for that, and whatever the difference is your
easy.
profit.
Right.
It's like, well, yeah, there's a bunch of advertising in there, there's people, rent, all sorts of stuff. And so there's definitely some people that get it and they value buying from guys like you to say, hey, if I don't have to do any of that stuff, I'm happy to pay a premium. No different than, Walmart buying from P&G. They're not manufacturing their own laundry detergent or whatever. So they understand there's a markup in there. So who is your kind of core customer? Is it somebody that's just getting started, or maybe a veteran person that recognizes that I just want somebody to hand these things to me and I don't have to worry about the sourcing part?
Yeah, I think we have presently, I would say we have, I'll say we have 3 clients to be really thorough. One of them is diminishing rapidly as time goes by. The other 2 have always been kind of our core clients, customers, whatever you want to refer to them as. I said the reason I say customers and not clients is we don't represent them as a real estate agent, so I don't want there to be any I'm not imputing that we do.
Right. And you're an attorney, so that's how you talk.
I don't practice. I'm not
okay.
Practice. But yes, educated in the legal field, which, it does help with our negotiations, which also gets passed down to our investors.
Yeah.
The 2 big groups of investors that we have are, yes, as you said, the seasoned guys. And usually they're not the newly seasoned, they're the really seasoned guys. Because like you said, whether it's a little bit of ego, whether it's a little bit of lack of understanding or vantage point, when people get further down the road, they realize that what we do is really difficult to do and takes really an extraordinary amount of time and energy, as well as dollar resources. And to be able to bring that to the table for someone and say, hey, look, you don't have to go look at 82 houses for the next, 60 Sundays every weekend and completely blot out your schedule. You can say, hey, what do you have this weekend, and go look at 2 or 3 things, and that's it. And you can buy them immediately. It makes it easy. It does take people usually a little more time to get to that place. Or we have the very new investor who understands, listen, either I have a 9-to-5 job, I just don't have the time, or this isn't my core competency. My core competency is whatever I'm doing. Let me make money to doing that and then invest it in real estate and let these people go do what they're good at. So those are our 2 big clients. Now, I will say I think that those spheres are coming closer and closer together. Kind of that newly experienced investor is getting more used to using a wholesaler for 2 reasons, I think. One, we've just been around. As the longer we're around, the more it becomes commonplace.
Yeah.
And two, I do think that single family, multifamily residential investments is becoming a more formal investment vehicle.
Sure.
And therefore people are realizing that it isn't just something that you just go out and do. This is actually a career that people focus on and spend 15 hours a day, 7 days a week doing in order to get the proper pool of properties to be able to choose from.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, at least in my business, we have bad days, weeks, and months, quarters maybe. And it's just a lumpy business when you're out huffing it to try to get deals. Unfortunately, I've got a great team in place, but it couldn't be more unpredictable in terms of when deals are going to come in. So to have relationships with people that can feed them to you and accept the fact that you probably will make less money because there was another mouth to feed, and that's okay. So. Yeah.
Well, it's like the guy you talked to that says, I refuse to pay more than 70 cents on the dollar minus repairs for a property. That's a wonderful ideal to have. What that means in today's market is that you're not going to buy any property.
Right.
So, you can accept a slightly lower margin and do your deals because someone else is there operating efficiently for you and use that efficiency. Or you can, do maybe half the deals but take a little bit larger margin. It really doesn't make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I have a question for you. I saw somewhere, did your wife work with you in the business? Does she still work with you in the business, or she started off? Or?
My wife and I we're partners basically in the sense that we're as crazy as it sounds, we're life partners. I mean, she is involved in my business. She is involved in the day-to-day. She's involved in all of our personal investments. She helps me make better decisions and helps me run a better business. We try and keep a little bit of separation as far as she's not in the office at my desk and I'm not in her office at her desk. So, we kind of talk to each other when we need to, and then we see each other at dinner for the most part.
Yeah. And the reason I asked, I work with my wife, and it's funny when you said they're not at each other's desk. As I where I'm sitting here, I'm in my home office right now. Of course, we have our main office, but I'm in my home office right now, and we actually have a 2-person desk.
Exactly.
So she was in here a little bit ago, and she's just there's no way we would have made it this far without her because she keeps me reined in for sure. But she just it's interesting working with your spouse, and there's a lot of great benefits to it too. But it definitely can make your relationship. It could either make you love each other or hate each other, I guess. So
you have to have a strong relationship. But I think also what it comes down to, and kind of what you're talking about, is there's so much to do in this business. There is no way that you can do it all yourself. And that's why, not necessarily you need a wife or a husband,
right?
But that is why people come to wholesalers, is because they need someone, a partner or partners really, to operate properly. As you said, you have a team underneath you. You have someone who focuses on rehab. You have someone who focuses on acquisitions and back-end sales and or renting. You can't do all of everything.
Right. Yep. Well, and so tell us, as you kind of grow into new markets, are you training people kind of in-house there in Dallas typically, and then they're ready to kind of partner with and open up a new shop in a new land, go conquer a new land? Is that kind of your model?
So what we do is we do only allow people to go open offices that have worked in our offices. So it doesn't necessarily have to be Dallas, but for the most part, we've pulled from our Dallas, our Houston, our San Antonio offices, only because those are the more established offices. They've been there for a while.
Right.
We require our agents to get a lot of seasoning under us before they can go open another office. They go and then they come back. We do most of our training in Austin. That's where our corporate headquarters is. So when we train our agents, our sales associates, our acquisitions guys, that's all done in Austin. And then general managers, guys that go run offices in Minneapolis or Atlanta or Denver, they'll come back and train in Austin as well.
Okay. And so how many offices did you say you have right now?
Presently, we have 8, and then Denver will be 9 that will be opening, I hope, no later than the first quarter of 2014.
Okay. And then what are your plans from here over the next year or two in terms of growth? New offices, new products? We talked about that a little bit before in terms of, it's a natural fit to start to add on some additional stuff like lending or, other services to service the same clients you have. But what are your plans for growth from here?
Of course, lending is obviously something that we already have started to do, and we will continue to grow that end of it. We're relatively conservative business people, so given the established company that we have with Net Worth, we're able to kind of test things. So the hard money we rolled out in Houston and Dallas and San Antonio and Austin, or I should say Dallas Fort Worth. And now that we've had a successful year, we'll start to roll that out in our other offices, and we'll be doing capital raises for that. And as far as new offices, yes, we have on site to open hopefully one other office. I would say I would like to do it in 2014. Whether or not that gets done in 2014 or the 10th office comes at the beginning of 2015, we're not pushing. We're not in any rush. We want everyone to be ready and people to be properly trained so that we're able to keep some level of control and consistency over the product and the level of service.
Yeah, great. And so what do you think, to kind of reach outside of just the Dallas-Fort Worth area and even outside of Texas for your other markets, what do you think is going to happen in 2014? What do you see happening with kind of inventory and interest rates and stuff like that? I always ask everybody that's kind of in the know to get their take on it. So what do you think is going to happen here over the next 1 to 2 years?
Sure. And we can look at this in a smaller window or a bigger window. Yeah. So a little bit bigger window, maybe 2-3 years out, and looking maybe a year back or so. We're coming off of a trough of let's call it 100-year low for the real estate markets. There's really nowhere down for our real estate market to go. Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas generally. Did we see a huge run up? No. Did we see a huge retreat? No. Technically, could there be room for us to depreciate? I mean, in a world of all possibilities, yes. Knowing what I know about real estate, supply, demand, and what's going on in DFW, no. There's no possible way that our real estate prices are going down over the next year, 2 years, even 36 months. Again, nationally, I feel the same way. Is that going to be true in every city? No. I mean, of course, your Detroits and things like that are going to come out of that equation. And then I also think you've got cities like Arizona, like Phoenix or Vegas that are really tight little anomalies that just bounce all over the place. But your big markets, the ones who saw a lot of downturn in the run-up, and then Texas generally, very stable, moving upward over the next few years. You buy low, you sell high. Coming off the trough, it's not going to get any lower. Now is a perfect time to step in, especially because you don't have the downside risk the way that you did a year, 2 years ago, where people are like, oh, I don't want to step in yet. Who wants to catch a falling sword? Et cetera, et cetera. We're past that point. Now it's just, do you have your financing in place, and are you willing to wait for the appreciation to come down the road?
Yeah, in most Texas markets, the benefit we've got is just the influx of population from the coast. I mean, it's hard. I moved, you don't know this, Melvin, but before I started real estate investing, we moved to DC for a couple of years. And, you're looking at homes that are 3 to 4x easily the cost of what it is in Texas. And when things get tight, and if you don't have if your family is not kind of pinning you to stay in that market, life is good in Texas. When you live somewhere else and you move here and you see the type of value and how easy it is just to get around and things like that. So obviously everything I've seen says Texas is going to be, one of the fastest 2 growing states for as far as we can see. So.
Yeah, well, I think price-wise, if you look at your New Yorks, you got your Chicagos, your LAs, your Vegases, your Miamis, and you got Dallas and Houston. Right. So we have, comparatively speaking, a long way to go, and we're becoming a more national real estate market where investors will look at Dallas compared to New York and look at where their returns are. So you're going to get money that goes in because it's less expensive. And then as more people are able to do their jobs from different locations, like you said, you're flexible. Right. You live in DC. If you can do your job from a computer or via Skype and a fax machine, a scanner, an email, then you don't need anything else. And if it costs you a quarter to buy a house in Dallas as it does to buy a house in DC, why wouldn't you move and use that money for retirement, et cetera? So I think that Dallas, Texas generally, location geographically, perfectly positioned. We have lots of dead dinosaurs under us. Great. I really applaud our state government for going out and being extremely business welcoming and actually even going out and, pulling them into the state, inducing them, it's all going to help the real estate values.
Yep. I agree. And the crazy thing is a lot of parts, as you know, a lot of parts of the Dallas area, the more first-time home buyer markets, I mean, we're buying houses for, half or less of build cost. I mean, at some point, and there's obviously inflation that's happening and gonna happen, regardless of what anybody says. And so if there's cities in this metro area that they're never going to build a house again because it's immediately worth half of what they built it for. So
it can't be duplicated.
Yeah. Awesome. So, anything else you've got working on? Anything else you want to share that's coming up, or?
Man, I mean, there's plenty of opportunity. I know, like you said, people are always worried about inventory. I know we have continued to have a pretty consistent flow of properties for our investors. Margins, like I said, probably a little bit tighter, but that's what you have to do if you want to buy the deals.
Yeah.
We've got the Real Estate Expo coming up. I know we're going to be there. I think you guys are going to be there as well. I think if anybody's interested in learning more about this, Tim puts on a great show over there. I think it's a really good thing for people to go. There's good and bad in an environment that big. Look at it all, and most people, I think, will be able to tell themselves, who the people are they should be paying attention to and who they shouldn't. But there's good info there. Yeah,
no doubt about it. So if somebody wants to find out how to buy properties from you guys, where do they go?
Of course, you can always go to NetWorthRealtyUSA.com. There's going to be a lot of testimonials, before and after pictures. There'll be some information on recent properties that we've had. If you're interested, you can call our office, ask to speak to me directly. Jody will probably answer the phone. Her name is synonymous with our office because she pretty much runs everything. The number's 214-373-9000. That's 214-373-9000 or NetWorthRealtyUSA.com. And as you know, we take a really hands-on approach. I will personally sit down with anybody that wants to spend the time. We'll have one of our advisors sit down and kind of walk them through some of the options and how we operate.
Awesome. Well, if you pass along all the info, websites and phone numbers and stuff, we'll make sure we put it below the video here so everybody can get access to it. Okay. So, hey, Mark, thanks so much for joining us today. Good to see you again.
Mike, pleasure as always. I appreciate it, and I hope everybody has some happy hunting there in 2014.
Awesome. Well, take care. I'm sure we'll see you around soon.
Definitely.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Are you a member of FlipNerd.com, the most robust real estate investing platform in existence, where you can find off-market wholesale deals and great vendors literally in your market? You can get access to advice from experts and learn about local clubs and events right in your backyard. If not, please visit FlipNerd.com and register for a free account. You can register in less than a minute. It's pretty much the coolest site that's ever existed in the real estate investing industry. So get on over to FlipNerd.com.